Okay, so if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you want to get more clients for your high ticket business, agency, coaching business, whatever it is. And you're debating whether to do YouTube videos or you're debating whether to go straight into paid ads. Well, the goal of this video is for me to give you a complete unbiased idea of what I think is best. Because for over the last 4, maybe even 5 years now, I've been posting on YouTube. And in Meta, I've spent well over, it's got to be like £1.5 million personally across my own businesses, okay? Which some of you will be like, that's not a lot of money, but it's quite a lot of money. And this is a fuckload of time that I've put into creating content, 500 long form videos over my lifespan and my career. So I think I'm in a pretty good position to tell you which one is going to be best for actually getting clients in the door, okay? They both have their perks, and I'm going to explain it to you now. So I'm going to assume that right now you're selling some kind of high ticket offer, and I'm going to assume that you're charging at least $5,000 for it, right? Now, if you are a complete beginner, let's say you're a complete beginner over here, or not even a complete beginner, but let's say you're making 20K per month, and your goal is to get to 100K per month. Well, your 20K per month business is going to look very different to your 100K per month business if you've never ever got to 100K per month before. And what's going to happen in between this are lots of testing points and iterations and changes that you need to make. And the way that you get to these is by actually doing the work and like forcing yourself to try to make more money so that you then end up going through these little problems. And the problem that I see is the whole world right now is like, go and create YouTube videos. It's the best way to build a business and the best way to build a brand. And of course it is, I do agree with that. But the thing is with YouTube, for you to get to 100K per month from a YouTube channel, this takes a very long time if your offer isn't like fully dialed in. So let's actually look at the pros and the cons, okay? So the pros of content, it's evergreen in some cases. So evergreen basically means that it lives forever. It can constantly generate you more leads or more traffic, even when you're not posting. Not only does it drive traffic, but it also builds an insane level of trust. So it separates you from your competition and solidifies you as the trusted person in that market. Keyword for content is consumption. So people get to consume your material and consume your ideologies and your offer before they then come to buy it. So the sales process is usually way, way easier, and there's more reliance on the marketing over the sales. And because you've got these two things, you can usually end up charging way more as well because, well, people are paying to work with you because you've got that brand and you've got that personality behind it. You've got that trust, right? Now, on the other hand, let's look at the cons because there are lots. It takes a huge amount of time. So not only do you have to be posting videos, you have to actually get quite good at posting videos. You got to come up with the ideas. You got to come up with the titles, the hooks. You actually have to be good to create videos. And I don't mean good as in like creating videos well. I'm talking like you have to know your shit about your offer. You actually have to be able to hold your ground and understand what you're talking about in order to separate yourself. Because right now, there is 1,000,001 people that are all doing the same thing as you, all trying to post YouTube videos. And all of these people are competing with Hormozi. Like, this guy has so much credibility and so much trust that you will never, ever get to Hormozi's level on YouTube unless you are Hormozi. Now, most of you are never going to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't compete with this guy. He's way ahead of me. So you're not just competing against yourself. You're competing against all these other people that are competing for the same views that you're trying to get. And then they're competing against huge names like Hormozi, Becca, all of those people. So you have to be good. And because there's lots of time that goes into this, you'll often find that it takes a long time to get data back. So I'm going to put slow for data. And this leads me onto the point that I want to make when it comes to Meta. But again, this is going to be unbiased. I'm still going to lay out the cons of Meta. Let's look at the pros. It's really just a game of math. So if we know what we're charging, we know how much it's costing to book a call, we know how much we're making per client. It's a game of understanding these numbers and then dialing that in. It's fast, so we can get that data super quickly. We can go to the market with a new offer and a new message in less than 24 hours and find out whether or not it's going to work. And we can't do that with YouTube. This is one of the main things. I always picture it like driving an icebreaker, right? This is a ship, an icebreaker ship. Very bad one. It's terrible. You've all seen them ships that basically go through the ice and they'll break apart the ice. And once they get going, it's much easier for them to continue going through the ice. But with YouTube, what it's like is when you change your offer and when you change your direction and you start to pivot into something new after reacting to the data that you've got, it's like turning one of these giant ships in the middle of that ice field. It's incredibly slow. It's hard to do, and it takes a lot of work, right? Whereas with ads, it's a case of just going out there and making different ads, changing the messaging on the landing page, adjusting things. It's not a case of pivoting your entire personal brand. It's a game of just pivoting the platform itself. So Pro, you can definitely move fast with it. Pro as well is super easy. It's way easier than YouTube. It's way easier than creating content. I don't care what anyone says. That is 100% true. And you can do it faceless, right? So you don't have to have a brand. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to be comfortable talking. You can get ads live and running without having to do any of that stuff. Now, with that said, there are obviously cons. And the cons are it can get pretty fucking expensive very fast if you don't know what you're doing and you're not following the right system setup and the right campaign and the right strategy. It can be really confusing, and you don't get to build that same level of trust that you do with paid ads. I'm going to tell you a little secret of how you can utilize the power of both in just a moment. But this is really the cons that I see. 9 times out of 10, everyone that I speak to has lost a ton of money on paid ads. Loads of people are confused by it. There's so many different variables, there's so many different moving parts. And of course, you can't build trust. There's so many people because the barrier to entry is so low. Again, just like YouTube, you're competing with thousands of other people that are all running ads similar to your offer. It's a lose-lose situation. If you go into YouTube, you're competing in a competitive market. If you're going into paid ads, you're competing in also a competitive market. So how do you solve this? Instead of thinking, okay, what do I choose? Do I choose content or do I choose ads? I've got a bit of a solution, and this is kind of what I've been doing over the last few years. So let's say you are at 20K per month, or even if you're at 10K per month, whatever it is, and you're like, okay, how do I get to that 100K? How do I go to that next level? In order for you to, number one, get to 100K per month, like I said, you have to be good at what you do. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to get better at being the person that can actually make 100K per month, and you're going to get better at actually understanding the value that you bring to your market. Now, my number one priority would be cracking paid acquisition. So how can I go out there and pay to get consistent clients in the door? How can I fill my pipeline with 10, 20 booked appointments per week using paid ads? And maybe that's going to cost you $2,000 a week. Maybe you're going to be spending $8K a month on ads, and for $200 a call, you're then going to generate 10 booked appointments. Okay. Now, let's say out of 40 booked appointments, 30 of them show, and let's just say conservatively, you close 10% of those clients. You've now closed 3 clients at, let's say your offer is 7.5K, and now you've made 22.5K from your 8K of spend. Okay. We now know the maths. We now know that every time we spend 8K, we should make in the ballpark of $15,000 to $25,000, depending on our close rate. And there's some levers that we can pull here, like improving cost per call, improving the show rate here, improving the close rate as well, in order for us to get those numbers higher. Now, I'm being very, very generous on the show rate here. Like, a lot of people aren't hitting a 75% show rate, but I'm going to show you again how using YouTube we can. So this is our meta side of things, and we've got this dialed in, and we're spending money, and we're consistently getting people through the door. And then all we have in front of us is numbers that we need to improve. And these numbers will be click-through rate on the ads, cost per book call, show rate, close rate. And the way that we fix this is a couple of different things. One of them is going to be obviously our offer, making sure that that's dialed in. It's also going to be the type of messaging that we put out there. So are we getting in front of the right people, and is it actually attractive to those people as well? But the other way that we do this is by using content, and it's by using our YouTube channel. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be driving all of our traffic from the YouTube channel, but we use this in a different way. So let me run you through that. What I want to do is I want to take the elements that we know are massive pros with content that we can't get inside of paid ads, like trust and the evergreenness of organic content. And I want to then utilize that in my paid ads. So if I know that we're trying to work on these metrics here, well, the way that I get a better show rate and the way that I can get a better close rate is by then utilizing that trust. Okay. And same for cost per call and click-through rate. If you've got a personal brand, obviously people are going to know you more. You're going to have a warmer audience that you can market to. But what ends up happening is, let's say this person over here books in a call. And once they've booked in for a call, they then start receiving emails from you. Now, your YouTube channel may get 0 views organically, but it doesn't matter, because in that email, the first thing we do is we send them to your YouTube. We send them some free content and we say, hey, look, go and consume these videos. This is us talking about the problems that you have. And then in that next email, we say, hey, look, here's a playlist on our YouTube channel. And maybe it's like top 5 videos that you've posted, or just top 5 things that you know people are struggling with that you've made dedicated videos on. Now, the beautiful thing about these videos is they could have 10 views combined. It does not matter, because the only thing we're looking to do is get consumption, right? That's the key word for us here, consumption. We're trying to get people to consume our content prior to getting on a call. We are not relying on this person coming from the content. We're actually getting them from Meta, but we're using content deeper down the funnel where we can then leverage its trust element. And what you'll then start to find is it takes the pressure off of content. If we go back to the pros and the cons of this, the pros is we get to charge more, trust, consumption. The cons is it takes ages. You have to be really good and it's really slow for data. But we spun that on its head, because we're now using the pros of the ads, which is we can work on maths, we can go fast, it's much easier to do. And we're also reducing the costs of the ads, because we're now giving them an opportunity to consume content to trust us more. So we differentiate ourselves. So we're building that trust up. And this is really the way that you should be looking at getting clients online. It's not content or Meta. It's both. It's both combined. I spent way too long going in just on content. 3 videos a week, basically really relying on going viral to get leads in the door and to grow my business. And it got me to a point where you kind of hit like a roadblock. I was stuck at like 50K per month. I couldn't break through it. So I was like, oh, how do I improve this? How do I actually start bringing control into my own business and actually start to take ownership of my own lead flow? And the way you do that is with the paid ads. So I kind of switch things around. I relied heavily on the paid ads and then just utilized content. So I then just took control of the flow of leads that I generate using the paid ads, and then I'd use the YouTube to build the trust. So this is something you can do right now. This playlist is something that all of you can make, whether you want to start a YouTube channel or create content or not. I wouldn't say just go and start a YouTube channel, because you have to be really good at it. You have to throw so much time and energy into it. It's just not that easy. So what I would do if I was you instead, and you're just getting started out and you want to create some content, think of the 5 biggest pain points that your ideal clients have. What is it that keeps them up at night? What is it that's holding them back from achieving their goals? And what is it that your offer actually helps them solve within those pain points? And once you've worked that out, then all you're going to do is you're going to create 5 videos of you just talking. Maybe it's on a Loom video, maybe it's you presenting something, maybe you've got like a presentation that you're going over, maybe it's just talking head. It doesn't have to be complicated. These videos can get no views whatsoever. It does not matter. And we're going to call this our problem playlist. It could even be unlisted. We don't care if anyone watches it. All we're going to use it for is we're going to use it as a sales asset that gets sent to people in between them jumping on a call with us and deciding whether or not to work with us. Okay? So that is exactly what I would do if I knew what I know now 5 years ago when I started my YouTube channel. This number would probably be triple what it is, and I would have been reliant way more on the paid ads and then utilized the content to actually turbocharge the paid ads. The biggest myth is it has to be either or, but the reality is the biggest creators I know, the people that are making the most money with the best offers, are using the speed of paid ads to go out there and test in the market. And then once they've cracked the code there, once they've found an offer that's working, that's converting well, then they go and build content off of the back of that. They hone in on their skills, they become the best in the game at that one thing, and then they utilize that in their sales process to increase the trust, reduce the cost of their ads, and see better results all across the board. It also takes an insane level of pressure off of you when I know I can just create videos like this instead of having to sit there, script them all out, because at the end of the day, I don't care how many views this gets, because I'm going to utilize this in the emails that I send out next week. And I'm going to utilize this in sending it to cold leads that have never heard of me before. And they can now get my approach on what I'm using content for. And that's exactly what you should be doing too. So hopefully this helps. Click this video, somewhere up on the screen if you want to see some more crazy takes that I have. And yeah, catch you in the next one.